OmniVersity. Today we have a very special guest. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself in just a moment. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure you check in on Facebook. Make sure you send questions by way of Facebook. Today, we are honored to have...
My name is Roy Fields Sr., and I am a lifelong resident of the city of Flint. And today, I'm a follower of Christ Jesus, and I say, the blessing is another beautiful day here on earth. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Fields, before we get into the heart of what you're doing these days with the urban agriculture, can you tell us a little bit about yourself or growing up here in Flint?
Sure. I grew up here in Flint. I graduated from Northwestern. I hired into the AC Spark Plug. I was 18 years old when I did that. And, I just started to do a lot of the things here in Flint that young people did. But back when I was growing up, my father was a farmer. They came from Louisiana here to Flint. And he started to teach us about gardening, and that's where I learned. That's what, kind of got my interest started in gardening and stuff. And I've been a farmer for 45 years, and I love that part of my life. And now on the north side of the city of Flint, we have a greenhouse project with a literacy program on site. And in addition to growing vegetables to share in the community, we teach the kids too, and the literacy program. I'm enjoying that because back in the day we never had those kind of programs for our generation of young people, and just watching the expression of the children's faces, I guess I should say the expression of the grown folks like me that enjoy listening to those readers that come out. We've had a lot of interesting people to come out and perform. I mean, literally perform. And we've been doing this now for 6 years. I've been on this site gardening since 2009, and then we started the literacy program to grant money from the Ruth Mott Foundation and from the state of federal government that put the greenhouse and stuff on site. And through the Mott Foundation, we were able to get a well. So we got it to where it's manageable. It really is manageable. It is in the city of Flint. I remember when my block was all houses, all people, and never would have imagined it would be like it is today here in the city of Flint. I do what I do in terms for the gardening part of it is because the sky-high price of vegetables and food for people, especially for the elderly people. Mm-hmm. I have people that a few years ago I had a young lady. She used to stay down the street from our site, and a few doors down from me. Whenever we got to the harvest time, she would send her son down and ask for bell peppers. But I would always give him a bag of greens, peppers, and onions, and just a mess of things that we'd grown. And I never thought about it, but I had my knees replaced, and I used to plow snow professionally, and me and my son, but I was not able to plow. And that young lady that I used to give those vegetables to, they knew I couldn't shovel the snow, and it was about a foot deep that snowfall was, and I was depressed because I couldn't go out and shovel the snow. But my bedroom is right by the walkway of the house there. Anyway, I heard this scraping noise. I looked out the window there, and that was her son, and he shoveled all 4 of my properties. And then when I tried to pay him, he wouldn't take it. And I was like, why, So when I was able to walk, I went down there and knocked, and his mom told me, she said, Mr. Fields, I never told you this, but when we used to come down and ask for bell peppers and you'd give us all that vegetables and stuff, you were feeding my family because we didn't have food, and I didn't know that, and it brought me to tears that day because I just didn't realize that I'd been doing it so long and giving vegetables away to where, I just never thought it would be this way in the city of Flint. It's changed a whole lot. and we've had to change to make things happen for the people just like us, that are caught up in things that that they cannot control. I know jobs and financial stuff is really important. It's changed a whole lot of the things here in the city of Flint, and part of our literacy program, we have a few that teach financial literacy too, and that's a plus for the community too, because like I said, I grew up and I had to learn the hard way, how to handle money and how to build credit and all that kind of stuff without listening to the crap that shouldn't have said crap, but the stuff that they have on TV. But to hear it from a professional that knows how to talk to young people and to get them to understand the things that she's trying to get them to realize is a real plus for us. So I can go ahead.
You've got a lot of things going on down there. I see you're developing a sense of community down there also, with people willing to volunteer to help each other out in certain situations. Just in case people do not know, Flint is a food desert. And what that means for those who are not in the know, beer, lottery tickets, and cigarettes do not make a healthy diet. The few stores that remain in Flint, the few grocery stores, have prices that might sometimes double the prices of what you might find out at Walmart or at Myers. You go in there to buy that same bell pepper. One bell pepper might cost you $2 or $3 at these grocery stores. If you were able to go out to Aldi's out in the suburbs somewhere, you might be able to get 3 of those bell peppers for $2 or whatever. So we are in the middle of a food desert. We don't just have a water crisis here. We have a food crisis where sometimes the food is not of the same quality that you would find elsewhere, or the expense of the food is something that is disparaging to people that live in the area. And those Red Hot Cheetos, I'm not sure what the health value is, but our kids need to be eating something better than that. And Mr. Fields here is carrying on a legacy that he gets from his father, and providing and being a farmer inside the city, urban farming. We're trying to put together a coalition right now. I'm hoping that Mr. Fields will join our coalition of beekeepers and people that are raising chickens and people that are also farming inside the city. You made mention earlier of the blight of the empty spots that are forming around this city. Do you think that putting greenhouses or putting gardens on those blighted sites might be a solution?
Well, if that, and that's another part of what we're doing, is trying to get the young people interested in farming, learning how to grow things and to do it right. Now, in the city of Flint, because of the blight and all the vacant lots that we have, believe it or not, I've already caught 3 groundhogs already this year and 1 possum.
Wildlife has returned to the city.
That's right. And these are the things that, and then I had to learn how to do this, how to trap them and how to fence up around the garden area, the greenhouse, because, man, they'll eat up all your vegetables. They will.
Right now, I'm in the process of dealing with them. I'm trying to use different types of herbs. There are certain things like marigolds they don't like, certain types of peppers, and certain types of spices. It will hold them at abeyance for a while, but once they get hungry enough, they're going after your collard greens and tomatoes and everything else.
You're absolutely right. But like I said, I killed, last year I caught 13 groundhogs, 2 skunks, and 4 possums. So, and I set the traps because I started to see them come out. So, like I said, I got 3 of them so far, and I'm getting ready. I'm keeping the traps set. And in addition to that, teaching, there are a couple of more sites on our street to where they have have started gardening, and teaching them how to trap and how to build the fences up around the gardens with the chicken wire and stuff, and how to put it in the ground to make it as difficult as possible for those animals to tunnel through, And we set it up to where they dig a tunnel, and then we set the trap right over that hole there, and you get 4 or 5 of them before they dig a new hole,
Yeah.
So these are the things that we've experienced, and For the most part, I've enjoyed because I've given away many greens over the years, and tomatoes. In my neighborhood, the people love fried green tomatoes, and that's and I do too. But that's what they want.
What type of tomato do you plant for that? A beef eater or
They have this tomato,
Brandywine or
it's we use it.
Big Bertha?
The tomato is grown. I get mine from Edible Flint, and it's one that they get from one of these facilities that grow facilities around here. I forget the name of it, but anyway, I get them from Edible Flint, and they were grown because this particular tomato is specialty for fried green tomatoes.
It keeps its shape.
Oh man, it keeps its shape, and they taste better than just your traditional.
Is it an antique tomato? Because I think I might know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, anyway, and it tastes better than just your traditional tomatoes, your big tomatoes. You eat, and if you season those tomatoes, you get flavor. But this particular tomato tastes good if you. All I do is roll it in a little cornmeal, a little salt and pepper, and it's fine. So that, and like I said, over the years, with the elderly people in our community, it's really special to be able to give them collard greens, and most of them, can I have enough to put in my freezer for Christmas and for Thanksgiving and stuff like that, and that's what I'd be trying to do. Now, year before last, me and my wife, one of my prayer partners donated us some money to buy that device to where it sucks out all the air and you freeze your vegetables that way. And we was able to we put up 72 gallons of collard greens. And that was wonderful because we were able to supply our community as well as my family with fresh collard greens.
Freezing them changes the texture of them and actually makes them better.
That happens. Yeah, when I do collard greens, when I pick collard greens in the summertime, I always freeze them first, and then I unthaw them and then cook them because that changes.
Great for Thanksgiving.
That changes everything. So. That, and I love peppers. I love hot peppers and stuff. So these are the things that, being retired and having nothing to do says something to a person's health and his mental ability. But, in my world, if I'm able to get out and do the things that I do, I stay healthy that way. And then being able to serve my community and the children of my community, being able to feed them, where I can. I guess, and the most important thing about what I'm doing here and what I want to share with you is I want to make the parents of the children feel comfortable to coming and it's not about begging, but to come and ask for vegetables and stuff for their families. And that's what, that's why I'm here today, to let them know that I'm here, and this is the reason that I'm here, is to help.
What I found worked for me, both in Lansing and here, is if you give people an opportunity to do work, if you give them a chance to offer reciprocity, like the young man shoveling snow was offering reciprocity, I think it's better to offer them something, whether it be picking weeds or just hauling the trash out or keeping the grass cut or doing something as a form of barter. And I think that if you just give stuff to people and give it away, you almost make them into slaves. But if you give them the opportunity in order to reciprocate, it's so much better.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that because you know what? Just like I told you, man, I just had surgery on the 25th of last month, and man, my hands just now got to where I could use both my hands again here. But I told you, a young man came out. I was going to get you to till for me, but a young man came out with a tractor, and he said, I'm gonna till inside and outside here for you because
you know his name?
I'd have to look in my wallet. He gave me his name, but anyway, he tilled the lady across the street, and because he had come over the years, and we'd given him greens and stuff like that, and then he used to till for me. And he said, I wanted to make sure you got done, and just, in line with what you just said about sometimes letting people do things, in order to just instead of just giving it to them, let them do things to help you, and then when you reward them with the blessing of giving them fresh vegetables and stuff, it's more like a barter thing, and it works.
Sometimes there's a good spirit and stuff that you do. Some people want to call it karma. I call it serendipity. I call it God providing sometimes, because I know you and I had talked about me coming over to do the rototilling, but somebody else just happened to come and do it because my health isn't all that great either, but I was going to try and get it knocked out, and just to make sure that the year can progress and go forward. You're working on your project over on Brownell, and
Corner of Brownell and Sunny.
what time are kids expected to come to
Our reading program starts in June every Wednesday through from June to August, every Wednesday from 11:30 to 12:30. And I invite anybody that wants to come out. If you come out 15 minutes before we start, and that way I can set you up to read if you'd like to, or just to listen and then be a part of the next program.
It would be great if we get the meetup to eat up program to join you and probably provide snacks. So if somebody's out there, either get in contact with me or get in contact with Mr. Fields here to see how we can get some snacks out there to the kids while they're reading. I'm going to try and see if I can donate some chess boards and some games so that the kids can read and also have some type of constructive activity. I'm a big proponent of making these kids more metacognitive and creative.
Well, and that's a wonderful thing, and I'm glad you shared that, because I'm listening to you, and you're experienced in these areas. I'm fascinated, and I'd love to have you to come out and read to them and talk to them, because that's part of the reading program, is to let those people that come out and read share with the children, the people in our community, their way of life, their way of living and learning things, and how to communicate, And I'm listening to you, and I'm surprised, man. I wanted to shake your hand.
pretty good for a Marine, huh?
Well, I wanted to thank you for that part of your love for this country and for the people, and you're still doing it. You're still doing it and serving in this community just like what you do.
Well, I would love it. I mean, you're offering enrichment this summer. I think that the children of Flint need more enrichment, whether it be somebody volunteering to bring some horses out so kids can see horses, or somebody volunteering to teach a painting class on one day, or somebody teaching the kids how to write or to do science. I was just at a program last week where they're trying to bring solar power to Flint, and I was talking about putting solar panels on greenhouses in order to operate pumps, in order to operate, different time things, like just to make sure that things get watered. But if we have science fairs like we're supposed to as part of STEM, and spelling bees and stuff, we can get these kids more involved, like back in the days when we were kids and we were going through school. It's kind of sad, but as an educator, I see these kids getting less than what I did. Education's supposed to improve and evolve over the course of time. I'm not seeing science fairs. I'm not seeing spelling bees. I'm not seeing kids participate in plays and whatnot. But I do see you out there offering the enrichment that these kids should be getting. They're getting critical thinking. They're getting creativity. They're getting a lot more than just the standards that are being pushed when they are dealing with you in the summer program you offer.
And and you just hit the nail on the head, my brother. You did, because through the Ruth Mott Foundation, they bring out the books that when they read the stories from the books, they're telling about gardening, they're telling about beekeeping and all sorts of things that connect with farming. And that's a wonderful thing. And to my surprise, a lot of the young kids that have come out are just you can look in their eyes and see the interest in when listening to those stories, and we have some readers that come out that they do different things according to the books that they read, and we had one young lady to come out, and she made she called it vegetable stew. Actually, it was
Stone soup. It was that the book. Oh, I love stone soup.
Yeah, and you should have saw the look on the children's faces, and then she had to make for when we pick the weeds and stuff and the greens. Some of them turn brown. We picked them, and she wanted to show them how to put that into the ground and save it to use for fertilizer.
Make it into compost.
Compost stew.
See, they learning the cycle of life.
Yeah.
They're learning science. They're learning about photosynthesis. There's so much that can be learned with this experiential learning. And I'm just trying to figure out where and how did the schools forget to do this? There should be a greenhouse at every school, if you ask me.
There used to be, but Flint's changing now, and I'm hoping that it'll go from city to county, and then back to where in school they'll have greenhouse classes, farming classes, and give the children an opportunity to decide. First, teach them, show them, and if you do it when they're young, as they grow older, they get excited about it, and that's what excites me, is to see to witness this, this transition in the young people as they start to grow older. Now, I realize we may not reach every one of them, but you know what? I've witnessed 2 or 3.
You start frying some tomatoes up, you're gonna reach all the ones that got some sense.
Yeah. I know. I believe that. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be showing up this summer. And I'm definitely going to be bringing some chessboards. I'm going to be bringing some free books for the kids. I got a ton of comic books to give away, if it's okay with the parents, because sometimes. Yeah.
Well, we do give books away on site, and like I said, we've been blessed over the years to have people just like you that will bring things for the kids, little gifts and stuff, and reading material, and that's
I'm definitely going to be there. There's a book you need to check out. It's called Seed People, and a superintendent of mine in Lansing back at about 25 years ago had the whole district read this book, and it talked about people starting to grow stuff inside those vacant and abandoned fields, and starting to become community around these vacant fields. Sometimes you might meet a neighbor, and this has been my experience. You meet a neighbor, they see the field next to the house that's just growing weeds, and you help them deal with that problem by growing vegetables or flowers or whatever. You meet a neighbor sometimes, they're trying to figure out how to deal with the critters in their yards. I have traps. You have traps. You probably have a couple of solutions, like don't put your garbage out too early, or start composting some of your trash so that the critters won't have anywhere to go. So I see this as a way of not just networking with your neighbors, but actually developing a community. I'm starting to do bees. Hopefully in the future, my wife will give me permission to do chickens. But for right now, I got to be content with all the fruit trees that we have, and with some of the stuff that you're growing, I'm growing. As far as collard greens, hot peppers, tomatoes, those are staples of soul food. So make sure you're growing onions too, because onions actually keep some of these critters away too.
I'm glad you said
different onions and different garlics.
I got onions growing right now. I do.
But you got, I think, don't quote me on this. I'm not sure if it's tomatoes or peppers that don't get along with onions as far as companion plants. They'll nullify each other's growth. Well, I think it might be the onions and tomatoes together that you can't put too close together.
Right. Now, and I learned that from Pastor Jim, and his greenhouse is over there on
by Asbury Church.
No, over on Pasadena there at that church there down by that store is a greenhouse in.
Okay.
And Pastor Jim, he's gone now, but anyway, he grew his onions in the back, and he grew his tomatoes 4 rows down from those onions for that reason. I learned that from him. He had the prettiest onions. We used to love his onions. That's what's got me growing them now myself, But I grow my tomatoes and stuff in a different direction away from the onions for that reason, And
it's these little tricks though that we are 5 generations ago, everybody lived on a farm. Living in the city was odd. Then we had the Great Migration. Ford offered people jobs inside these factories, and a lot of black folks especially moved to the north and took factory jobs. But those people that took those original factory jobs were farm laborers. They knew how to farm and how to garden. I was blessed enough that my parents had me digging holes in the backyard and digging up a garden every summer, where I learned some of this stuff by being passed down. But just like the blues and just like other cultural phenomenons that we have, it's hard to find a blues guitar player. It's hard to find somebody that knows how to play the harp or the harmonica, and it's hard to find people that still know how to farm. But you have the Master Gardeners program out there, which is a great resource. You have people like yourself who are willing to show people and train people, and you have people like me that's willing to do the same thing. Pretty soon I'm going to be giving away free plants and giving away seeds, and I'm quite sure that you're going to need help over there on Brownell. So I beseech the parents and the kids and everyone out there to try and make contact with somebody, or Mr. Fields or myself or one of the other farmers in your area. If you want help starting up, we might be able to advise you and tell you who to speak with. Edible Flint, you mentioned them earlier.
Yes.
Can you explain to us what Edible Flint is?
Edible Flint, during the height of the water crisis, was a mainstay of vegetables for the city of Flint. They helped people. They taught people, helped them to put together these lots to make gardens out of them. They helped people to get greenhouses up, and in addition to that, they would come out and work with us, in order to help the communities. And so I think now that this community, the community of Flint, Michigan, should realize that we're going backwards in time now. General Motors is gone. Flint is changing back to the way it used to be before General Motors came to be.
We might be seeing Native Americans out there pretty soon, huh?
And this is the thing that I want to do, is to help the young people, especially if you want to stay here. Now, I have the situation about the water, but if you want to stay here in Flint, you got to be able to think, to
survive,
reason, to survive,
to thrive,
to know how to, and then to be comfortable with doing it. So like I say, in some of the counties around Genesee, you go out, and I watch the people that man, they got these big gardens in back of those big houses, and they're raising all kind of vegetables and stuff. And like you said, they got chickens and all kind. Yeah, and these are the things that Flint is going back to. I appreciate all the things that are being done to try to build Flint up, but let's use reality in this process. Let's be for real in this process.
They're going to have a meeting this Thursday over at the library for the solar energy push, and I'm thinking solar energy and growing and farming, they go hand in hand. We're taking advantage of the sun, and I can see so many different ways that this solar energy could be used. You say you have a well on your property. I have a lake on my property. That way we can avoid using Flint, quote unquote, pipe water. Although, for people that don't know this, when you grow certain types of food pulls poisons and leads and certain chemicals out of the water and pulls it out of the land. For example, trees. A lot of heavy metals get stored inside the bark of a tree. So if I plant apple trees, the lead doesn't go into the apple. It actually goes into the bark of the tree. Certain other chemicals do that too. So it's almost like God's natural way of filtering certain things out and away from us. And I found that that's almost magical that happens. And if we're careful and can do things, we can actually clean up the environment. I have bamboo growing right now, which provides twice as much oxygen as most other plants. But there are so many different things that can be done in order to improve the environment and improve the way we live here in Flint, and to make Flint into a Garden of Eden or heaven again. But we have to work towards that. And if we don't work towards that, then we might be working towards a problem. So you got to be conscious about what we're doing out there with our trash. It just annoys me when I see people throw trash out the window. And I go out there and clean up my grass every day. I know you're probably doing the same thing.
Oh, man, you just said it. But, in addition to what you just said minutes ago, is I am so pleased to hear you speak in the way that you have here. I am so pleased to hear your understanding now. Man, I can't wait for you to come out now and talk to my kids.
No, I can get long-winded. I have all them kids put to sleep.
But that's it, man. You know what? I'm super pleased. I can't wait for you to come out and like I said,
I'm gonna make a call and see if we can get a greet up spot put there, or get some way of getting snacks brought out there. We don't have our Facebook. Can you read the Facebook line for me? If it looks like somebody chimed in. Thanks. We got TJ here, the assistant producer.
It says, I'm blind. You don't reply messages. No. This one? No, you good, guys. Keep on going.
All right. Nothing on Facebook then. But, Mr. Fields, I want to get a picture because you have a lot of young people out there. You have people that are 25 years old and don't know what Flint looked, felt, smelled, was like back in the heyday. What was it like to be here in Flint? You're naturally born here in Flint. What was it like to be here in Flint when the car companies were here and things were rolling and there was money about?
Well, back in the day, Flint was nationally recognized for its education here in Flint. It was nationally recognized. Went to Bryant, and man, they were teaching classes there. They had people coming, young people coming in, and math classes that were, man, just unheard of education here, and being recognized from around the country. People coming in here, interviewing the teachers, the classes, the schools, the networks, and it changed, but there was money here. There was General Motors and all sorts of money that things that could be afforded to have done here,
Mm-hmm.
And when General Motors left, boy, everything just went to zero. I mean, it just didn't happen all at once, but slowly it began to change. Slowly it began to shut down.
So there used to be nightclubs in this town, and movie theaters and skating rinks and
everything.
You would get acts from everywhere from New York, from Motown, from California, and everything that would come out here and perform.
Back in the
Ice-capades and circuses, and
you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It was a beautiful city to live in. Of course, we had to deal with certain kinds of discrimination in the city of Flint, but we were able to do that, I when I hired in the shop, and when it was the AC spark plug, that was quite an experience there. It was well crafted work facility, and we learned a lot. I learned a lot of things there working at the AC. But at that time in my life, I was young, and my father was a pastor, and he kept us sheltered from a lot of the discriminatory things that would happen, once we got out of that, that safe zone that he had us in. And when I hired in the shop, that safe zone, man, if it wouldn't have been for his teaching us in the love of Christ Jesus, man, I probably wouldn't have retired from there. But I was able to, because when certain things were done to me that was wrong, I was able to talk about it and not fight about it.
You're able to survive it and navigate it because you had people around to support you.
Just like now, I have situations to where, because I'm an older African American, I go places, and sometimes people think they can just talk to me any kind of way. I'm supposed to sit there and say, "Oh, okay," and I question that. I had an incident here at a dealership, GM, and it was a mess. But I told them I just bought this car last year, and it's under warranty, and they wanted to tell me about, "Oh no, you still got some out-of-pocket expense." And when I did call General Motors and make the complaint, they agreed with me. This was wrong, what they done to me, and they apologized and stuff. So I shared that with you to say that
it doesn't pay to be passive.
Right. There you go. So, and this is what I try to teach my young people, is to grow in knowledge, grow in the understanding that you, most of the people that come out and read are just like you. I knew you before you knew me because I heard about you.
I was making a lot of noise over there.
Yes, you were. Well, but they respected you for it. And see, this is one of the reasons I'm here today, is because I want you to share that kind of mobility, that kind of personality with our young people, more making them unafraid to speak out, to speak out, and then in a very respectful way.
There are ways to file a complaint respectfully. It doesn't have to start off with a cuss word.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can cut a man down with some real nice words,
well,
and make him know exactly where he stands.
I gave you that date to that city council meeting, and I want to say this now. I went before the Fli-City Council, and you heard and saw how ugly that can be.
July 25th, 2022.
7/25/22, and they asked the questions that the council persons were supposed to ask about my situation.
Mm-hmm.
I gave each council person a folder with pictures and all the documentation to support what I was saying. And there was no argument, there was no name calling, there was no cursing. And after they had a chance to discuss in detail my concerns, they made a resolution. They made a motion. And the motion was seconded by another city council person, and then they made a resolution. There were 7 council persons there, and they voted to have the water in the city of Flint tested from an outside source. The city of Flint and the state of Michigan, they voted to have that done 7-0. I'm talking about Fli-City Council. Listen to them now, how they argue with one another and stuff. But this happened. So that said to me that if you do it right, and I did, I went before him, and like I said, the first words out of my mouth was giving honor and glory to God for the privilege of being here today and sharing with you His truth.
Mm-hmm.
And they took that, and they went through all the documentations. They discussed it. Sure, there was some questions about it, but they managed to figure it out.
We're getting a little pressed for time, and there is a very important issue that we still need to discuss, and that's the water, the impact on health, and what's being done about it. My biggest concern and gripe, because I've brought this to the school board a few times, and I've asked people on city council a few times, they're supposed to be testing these kids. Lead is a poison, and it causes certain social behaviors, and it causes certain it has an impact on the brain that changes intelligence, changes how people get along. This is some potent stuff. They're supposed to be testing these kids every year, or monitoring like behavior or doing whatever. I keep asking about who's monitoring this or who's testing this, and I can't get an answer about who's following up on this. And I'm not sure if there is someone following up on it and they're scared to share the results, or if there's no one following up on it and they're scared to admit that they're not doing their due diligence by the children of Flint. Not just the adults were impacted also, and adults have rights, but most importantly, the children of Flint. Who's following up with this? You had some issues with the testing of water here, and they sent in a local company that was more of a crony let's not call them a crony. Let's just say it would be better to have an outside institution doing the testing instead of somebody who might be affiliated and stands to gain.
You watch the YouTube video and you'll understand exactly the way I feel over what happened there and why it happened. But more importantly, you remember the Tuskegee experiments. Remember that?
Yes, I do remember the Tuskegee experiment.
I call it the Flint, Michigan experiments now, because they know there's something wrong with this water. I'm living proof of it. I'm the 4th person on the block to have cancer. I'm the only one that's still alive. The others are dead. And then finding out there are more people on the block that have been diagnosed with cancer. Mr. Arthur Woodson, has been in communications with the Vice President of the United States because she is concerned about this cancer spreading here in the city of Flint.
There needs to be some research because, believe it or not, none of my brothers have cancer, but I developed thyroid cancer since moving here, and I've had some other health issues that may or may not be related. But there should be someone doing a study or cluster or talking to different people, and I'm not seeing anybody out there doing that right now, and that's what really scares me. It's almost like they have a gentrification solution, just add water, and they're trying to run us out of here.
They keep saying the water's safe, and I went before the city council on April the 22nd of this year, and Ms. Meshach, the 7th Ward council person, is the director of this program that the CS Mott Foundation has funded, saying that they test the water. And I took my wife went to the 2nd Ward meeting. Ms. Meshach gave her a new water filter for our kitchen sink. And so when I changed it, I cut the filter in half, and it was full of black stuff. I took that before the Flint City Council, and I told her, Ms. Meshach, I thanked her for giving my wife that filter. And I said, but okay. And I told her about the cancer situation. But I said, but here, you want to test my water? Here, test this first. Tell me what this is. You know, this is what you're seeing what's coming out of my faucets here in this filter. And I took a filter to her office. I gave it to one of her employees, and I didn't hear back from them no more. Now I did hear Thursday of last week, the young man that took the filter called me, and I wasn't upset with him, but I was disappointed that they used these young people on the news to say, well, yep, we're teaching them to test the water in the city of Flint here, and they're not telling the people
the whole story.
Yeah, the whole story about it, and it's not true. They're teaching them, but not the truth of what they want us to believe. And the thing that bothered me the most was, why do you do this to our young people? Why do you want to put them out here with lies? You shouldn't do this. And I shared that with the CS Mott Foundation. I don't know what their response is going to be, but I shared that with them in a meeting they had last week. So these are the things that I've experienced here about the water. I'm praying that, this last thing I'm going to say, I told them that I'm going to do like Moses did to Pharaoh. I'm going to keep going before the city council until they have this water tested right from a company that knows what they're doing, to be able to tell us once and for all what's coming out of these infrastructure pipes, other than they say that lead is if too much chlorine will cause cancer. Mm-hmm. But they're not
fluoride.
They're not saying they're not saying that. They're not telling that, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to share that one point of interest. Like I said, I'll go before the city council until they do this, and I'm praying that they will get a company from out of this state, out of this city, to come here, a company that knows what they're doing, to test this water, so we will know once and for all what's in it, you know.
Mr. Fields, I want to thank you for coming out. I want to thank you for your efforts with children and literacy in the neighborhood. I want to thank you for your efforts in resolving the food desert issue and making sure that people get fed out there. We need more men like you in our community to set examples to for our youth. We definitely want to have you back on to discuss some other issues that are pertinent to you and pertinent to this community. But I want to thank you on behalf of all the other good people of Flint for your efforts out there. I definitely will be out there with some free comic books for the kids and try and get some chessboards over there too. So where and when again, sir?
The Brownell Boulevard Coalition is on the corner of Brownell Boulevard and Sunny. We have story hour every Wednesday starting with this month through August, every Wednesday from 11:30 to 12:30. And if you want to be a part of the reading program, come 15 minutes early, and we'll get you set up.
And if you have the power or the ability to help bring out snacks for these kids, but how many kids do we usually see there?
We had a daycare that we've been, and there's usually about 23 to 30 children every Wednesday.
Okay.
You know?
I want to see what I can bring out for the kids.
I greatly appreciate that. And again, I want to say thank you for just being who you are, man. I had no idea, that, I heard about you. I heard about you.
Only half of that is true. But this has been ChessFrog OmniVersity. I'm Marcus Brown. Our guest today is the Honorable and the Great Mr. Roy Fields.
Thank you, sir.
We have our producer here, Mr. Grundy, who's going to say a few words. Out of the Mud Productions is responsible for helping produce and put this out, and they spring for all the money and everything. So we appreciate them doing that. So we'll catch you again, same bat channel,